If we're not at a Disney park, we're dreaming about being there, and a cup of Joffrey's Coffee Disney Blend helps. But what about when you're at a Disney park? The Joffrey's Disney Kiosk and Restaurant Locator will make sure you never miss out. Whether it's a cool drink on a hot summer vacation or a great cup of coffee at a Disney signature restaurant, Joffrey's has you covered. Check it out at Joffreys.com.
Konnichiwa, Looper Nation. Coming to you aboard the Tokyo Disney Resort Monorail. The Dameron family from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania loves the Tokyo parks and strongly recommends making the trip. Yosuka, welcome to another fun-packed and informative edition of the Resort Loop podcast. Take it away, Bob and Tim. Bing bong.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
To our new passengers, aloha and welcome aboard.
Hey everybody, welcome to ResortLoop.com. I'm your host, Bob Collar. Tim Scott is taking a well-deserved, well-needed vacation. So he'll be back with us soon and with his wonderful family. So you're kind of stuck with me. Sorry about that. Anyway, thank you so much to the Dameron family for what might be the best, or at least the furthest show open we've ever gotten, Tokyo Disneyland. They were out there and were kind enough to send us a show open. So thank you to Russell, Wendy, Chandler, and Kristen for that. All the way, they went to Shanghai, Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Sea. Had a great time. And listen, if you want to do a show open for us, you don't have to go all the way to Tokyo. You can do it, right from your own living room if you want to, and just say hello. You could call that in at 414-WDW-LOOP, or just shoot us an email, Bob at ResortLoop.com or Tim at ResortLoop.com, and we'll get that on the air to you, or for you. So thank you so much once again to the Dameron family for that. And hey, we also want to make sure a very special shout out and thank you to Mike, Pam, and Ricky over at the Be Our Guest podcast for letting us come on and be a part of that incredible 12-hour show for Give Kids the World. They raised around $30,000 for that. So great job, guys. We really appreciate what you do for the kids. Such a great show anyway. All three of those guys are fantastic. They're so much fun to hang out with and spend time with. And we just really appreciate the fact that they thought of us to come on the show and talk a little bit about Disney, because, we all love Disney and especially love giving Disney to kids in need. So thank you again, Mike, for that. There was a little confusion on the time, but we got on. So thank you, Mike. We appreciate that so much. And thank all of you out there in Looper Nation that may have participated in that show, whether it's through the auctions or just a donation. It's a great cause, and you can't go wrong with Give Kids the World. So we also want to, we have a very, very special shout out we had a great weekend last weekend. We had a great Saturday. We met with a bunch of folks from Looper Nation at our Looper Meet 2017 Northeast Ohio edition at Cleveland B.A. Sweetie Candies, where we just had a great time meeting with everybody. We had people coming from as far away as Canada. We had some folks from New York, up around the Niagara Falls area come over. We had folks from Pittsburgh. We had local folks. We had folks coming from everywhere, and we really appreciated it. It's just always so nice. The show, we've always said this, the show is not about Tim and I. It's about all of us, all of you. Looper Nation, we just absolutely love meeting with you guys, interacting with you on social media and all of that stuff. So let's just keep that going. We want to make sure that, we just keep that going, because it's just so much fun spending time with you guys. But we got to be honest, it does cost some money for us to put on the Looper Meets. And we have our Joffrey's Coffee and Tea sponsorship, which we love those guys. Those help us keep us on the air. And then we have our great friends over that support the show through Patreon, that if you want to help support the show so that we can have more Looper meets and get more products to hand out. And this last time we were able to get Dole Whips for everybody. We absolutely love doing that. That all goes back into the show. It all goes back to you guys, really, with things that we're doing. And so if you want to support the show, go over to ResortLoop.com and help us out. You can donate whatever you like, and you get a little bit of Looper swag to go along with it, just as our way to say thank you. So check that out if you will. Speaking of support, you guys have always been very, very supportive of us when it comes to all the questions we ask you. We ask you questions. We have the Looper listener polls. We have your one tip idea, the series that we do. And we absolutely love that interaction. You guys have given so much great information that helps other people, So we just thought we'd have some fun with this. Because we were talking about some of the things we've overheard at Disney parks, and it just got to be fun. And we thought, well, let's put this out there to Looper Nation. So we asked you guys, what's some of the funniest things you've overheard at a Disney park? And you guys, of course, came through, as always, supporting the show and everything. So we're going to jump out to the West Coast with Cal Scarata, at Cal Scarata on Twitter, says, does the Disney store count? I was a cast member and heard a guest as they walked in said, quote, it even smells like Disneyland. No lie. My reply under my breath was, you mean like French fries? I would think maybe popcorn. The Main Street just smells like popcorn. TJ at Run TJ says, I think the recording of Resort Loop Tim's daughter upset that they weren't in Houston wins. Now, if you haven't been listening for a while, you can go back and hear Tim talk about that. But in a nutshell, what happened was Tim was surprising his kids with a trip to Walt Disney World, but they told them that they were going to Houston to see some relatives and friends that they have in Houston. And so when they pulled into Walt Disney World, surprise, we're at Walt Disney World, and his daughter, who was real little at the time, started crying. She got very upset and said, I want to go to Houston. So that might be a winner there. Tier Free Disneyland at Tier Free Disneyland says, their quote was, do you think there'll be a lot of kids here today? Yeah, it might be. You're going to Disneyland. There might be some kids. Scott Gerke at Buzz Skywalker, I'm sorry, says the quote that he heard was, I really question your love for Disney if you don't know what Skull Rock is, said a little girl to her parents. Wow. She's serious. Kelly Laveau says, I'm barely existing right now. Heard at a Magic Kingdom bus stop by a poor, exhausted dad. Must have been July when he said that. Taylor S. at Taylor S93 says, quote, I still like Universal more, said a crazy person in the hub at Magic Kingdom facing the castle, much to their friends' disbelief. And I'm sure Taylor's as well. My goodness. My wife reminded me, she made sure I wrote this down. We overheard this the last time we were down there. A dad to his child. If you complain about how hot it is one more time, we're leaving. That's what the kid wants to do. The kid wants to go home. Or at least go back to the pool, right? So, Amy Landowski says, while walking out of Epcot at closing, she overheard, I know what Epcot stands for. Every person comes out tired. I've heard that one. That's a good one. Liz Irace says, my kids heard a dad say he wanted to go back to the hotel one night. And his little boy yelled, it's always about you. They still laugh about it. I think Dad's paying the bill. I'm just saying. Paul Tornicki says he overheard, where's the Harry Potter castle? Ooh. Major faux pas. Scott Fody says, The quote that he overheard was, "I spent $5,000 for this trip, and gosh darn it, we're going to have fun." Yeah, I've heard that one before. Yeah, just be nice. Be nice to your kids. Joe Quattrochi, the original Super Looper, chimed in and said, "I still always laugh when people refer to the Magic Kingdom as Disney World, and then they call the other parks by their actual names. For example, we're going to Disney World today, then Epcot tomorrow, and then the Hollywood Studios the Hollywood Place the following day." Dee Dee Herring says, "Grrr, that grates on my nerves. I know it's petty. It just does." Jessica Streeter said she overheard a woman go on a Magic Kingdom bus from the Swan say, "Does this bus go to Disneyland?" I want to be on that bus if that goes to Disney. Maybe the new minivans will take you to Disneyland. I don't think for $20, but Matthew Wallace. Matthew Wallace was at our Looper Meet, Northeast Ohio Looper Meet up here in Cleveland. And listen, if you are from Ohio or live in Ohio or used to live in Ohio, he's got a great Facebook page, Buckeye Mouse Fans. Check that out. It's a lot of fun because, we all have that Ohio feeling, which is why we always go to Disney World, because the weather in Northeast Ohio especially is pretty rotten a lot of times. So check out Matthew's Facebook page, Buckeye Mouse Fans. It's a great site, and he's got a lot of good information there. So check him out. Matthew says Universal Studios is part of Disney World, right? So which resort would it be close to? No. Phil LeBlanc says, when complimented on how well behaved my kids were, I said, "I can make my kids cry at home. It's too expensive to make them cry here." That is a good point. That is a good point. Don't get all upset. You're spending way too much money to get all upset. Tara Renee, good friend of the show, Tara Renee says, "Taking my little brother on Expedition Everest, and after we were strapped in, the kid next in line, staring us down and yelling, 'You're all going to die,' as the train started to move. For the record, he was not saying this in a worried way. He had zero concern and seemed good with it." Then she remembered another one, an adult man at Captain's Grill, who walked up to a random server and said, "I've been here for 10 minutes. Where's my drink? This is a disgrace." It was hilarious, she says. Heaven forbid, 10 minutes. Yeah, I mean, come on, especially if it's busy. Oh, my goodness. Gary Zarelli says, going back in the late 80s, we were on the bus going to Magic Kingdom when the bus driver informed the passengers that Walt Disney was frozen and stored in the utilidors below the Magic Kingdom. I was taken aback, and it was so funny because a Chinese couple looked at each other and said, "I knew that." That's an urban myth. He's not. Oh, my goodness. Bruce Carlson says he overheard, "Where's that Jaws ride?" Andrew Zona said he overheard, "I'm dehydrated but not thirsty." Yeah, that person's headed to first aid. Oh, my goodness. Jeremy Hunt said, "So this is a recent one. We were aboard the Resort Loop monorail heading to from the Poly to the Grand Floridian. I was standing behind my wife, who was in her wheelchair. While the ramp was still down, a cast member ushered aboard another guest in a power chair who seemed to struggle a bit with the controls. She managed to board, and we had a very nice convo. When it came time for us to exit at the Grand Floridian, she said she had to exit first because she was blocking the door with her chair. That's when things got real. It became clear very quickly that she didn't have control of the power chair. Twice, instead of backing up, she raced forward full speed into my wife's wheelchair, eliciting a cry of surprise from my wife, as well as a super manly, of course, bellow from me. I want to hear that. After two failed attempts to go back down the ramp at full speed, to go back down the ramp at full speed, hitting the side. She finally succeeded on the third try, careening out of the monorail car at ramming speed and coming to a crashing halt when she bashed into the cast member's desk. A lady in another party of people in our car looks at me and says, "I'm a little scared now." A lady in another party of people in our car looks at me and says, We finally rolled out, passing her, still smushed against the cast member desk, happy that everyone survived. Stand clear of the doors, you might get run over. It occurs to me that this is just a funny story, not something overheard. My bad. That's all right, Jeremy, because you did. I mean, how often do you overhear on the monorail, "I'm a little scared now"? Crystal Holmquist Carter says, "My husband and I took our 4-year-old daughter on Tower of Terror beforehand, telling her how much fun it was. She didn't agree. Walking down Hollywood Boulevard afterwards, her eyebrows were lowered and her chubby cheeks were red, and in her most menacing voice she said, 'I do not like Tower of Terror.' She hasn't been on it since, and she's 13 now. Yeah, you got to be careful of that. You scare them right out of the gate. That's tough." Margot Mead chimed in on that one, says, "Sounds like the time we took our 4-year-old on the Jaws ride. During and after the ride, he kept informing us that this was a bad idea." Maybe he saw the movie. Yeah, Peg Zisman says, "Walking past a couple on the Art of Animation sidewalk one night. One of the women audibly mumbles to her partner, 'I am shamelessly farting right now.'" Not me, the woman that Peg. Yeah. All right, moving on. Chris Lorardi said, top 2 from 2014. "While on the Magical Express, the family behind me was complaining that they could not see the castle from the airport." Number 2. The rain had canceled the 3 p.m. parade, and a lady was screaming at a cast member to put up the darn dome. Just close the roofs so the parade can happen. Chris made eye contact with the cast member and said, "After you do that, can you put on the air conditioning?" Exactly. Oh, my goodness. Leslie Blair says, "While on the tram leaving Animal Kingdom, the announcer with her little teeny voice said, 'This is the unicorn parking lot. Go unicorns, be free.' And upon driving away, she said in a wispy way, 'Bye-bye, unicorns, bye-bye.'" Tara Renee chimed in, "The parking trams legitimately used to be the funniest rides in the park. I laughed so hard I cried." And that's so true. The bus drivers, the tram drivers and operators, and I'm sure these new minivan drivers are going to be just hilarious. They've got some of the best stories and certainly the best information. So Margot Mead said, "I love it when I see people standing near an attraction trying to figure out what kind of attraction it is and whether they want to go on it, because everything at Disney is totally secret and there's no way to research it ahead of time." And they stop right in the middle of the walk. Those are those people. Oh, my goodness. Dee Dee Herring says, "Okay, so many due to being a cast member for about 8 years total. I'll name off a few of them here. When I worked at the cookie shop that used to be attached to the bakery, I would stand in a window and bake cookies in front of the guests. One time I was walking out of the cookie shop, and a lady at the back of the line jumped up, grabbed her chest like she was having a heart attack, and yelled, 'OMG, you're real. I thought you were one of those robot things.' Pretty sure that everyone in earshot, including myself, were laughing hysterically." We also got constantly asked what was in between the cookies in an ice cream cookie sandwich. We had these sample displays that were made with old cookies and lard, so it kind of looked like icing between, so people would insist on getting them with icing in it, even though they were called ice cream cookie sandwiches. Dee Dee says, "Finally, one time as a guest, I was there with my grandparents, Mom and Aunt. We were in line for the train on Main Street. There were a few benches in the queue and a lot of open space to stand, so the cast member asked everyone to move forward, filling in all available spaces." They do that, right? "So we bypassed this guy and his family who were sitting on the benches. Well, just as the train pulled up, the guy walks behind me and whispers in my ear, "It's people like you that make this place not fun for people like me." She says she was 15 at the time. It wasn't really funny, but what I thought was funny was that he chose to say it to me, the kid in the party, instead of saying it to my grandpa, because Lord knows if he had an issue with us, he wouldn't dare confront the adults in the party. Instead, he'd attack the kid. You know, first off, sir, when you saw some ladies and a child, why didn't you get up and let them sit on the bench? Let them have your seat. That is the gentlemanly thing to do. Don't give me... I'm not going to do rants today. No rants. But listen. No, I'm kidding. Jonathan Keith says, in Magic Kingdom, as a kid with my dad, it was the week after Christmas and mad packed, as expected. We were skipping the evening parade to ride Big Thunder. My dad was quite large at the time, and he was having a hard time navigating past Casey's over to the Adventureland Bridge to get to Frontierland. After working to get through the crowd, he gave up and at the top of his voice yelled to no one in particular, "Caution, wide hips coming through." The crowd partied immediately like the Red Sea, and we had smooth sailing to Frontierland. There you go. Sometimes a little levity, you know, get the job done. Bill Botley says, and he was at the Looper meet, says this is not the funniest thing, but rather the more frequently heard phrase at Epcot in 1982 during the opening week. Due to technical difficulties. ... Yeah. Matthew Wallace chimed in and said, it sure was. That's why I went back 6 months later. Even then, Universe of Energy was closed the first time because the sun went down. Kids, the Universe of Energy. That's the new Guardians of the Galaxy. Sophia Hunt says, overheard whilst walking in the Japan Pavilion at Epcot. This is just like a mini China. Oh, no. No. Tara Renee says, that's so bad. Yeah. Good pal of the show, and he was at the Looper meet down at Walt Disney World. Ben Fluth says, walking through Animal Kingdom with my dad, and there's a group ahead of us with a 3-seat strollers. My dad leans over to me thinking he's being quiet, saying, man, that couple got busy. One of them whips around, staring my dad and I down, and says, I wish I was that good. But this is 3 families. I don't understand that one. Molly Ann says, I was walking past Spaceship Earth, and a boy asked his mom if they could do the ride inside the ball. She replied, oh, honey, there's no ride inside the ball. See Margot Meads. Oh, my goodness. Tim Elbing Jr. says, and he was down at our Looper meet as well as Margot. We had such a great meet. This is the 3rd meet we had here in Northeast Ohio. We had 2 at Walt Disney World, and then we had one up here at in Cleveland. So we're spreading the love. We might be going to Colorado. At least I might be, for a Looper meet next summer in Colorado, 2018. And Tim and I are working on the Looper meet for, either Walt Disney World or Disneyland in 2018. So, Tim Elbing Jr. says, we were in Living with the Land, and this little boy was in the row behind us with his parents. He was maybe 7-8 years old. All of a sudden, he screams out, this ain't a ride, we're learning. The whole boat was trying to stifle their laughter. That's funny. I don't care. That's what Epcot was supposed to be, and they realized, kids are catching on way too quick. Anna Hansen says, one time we were riding the Great Movie Ride. Oh, moment of silence. Okay. We were at the part at the end where the movie clip's playing on the screen, and Shirley Temple is shown briefly. A little girl in the front row exclaimed with confidence, Honey Boo Boo! Her mom got flustered and was like, shh, no, that's not Honey Boo Boo. We were all laughing. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's horrible. Elizabeth Watley says, I sat next to a little boy in the Beauty and the Beast show. and he proceeded to tell me which superheroes do best in the freezer. I asked him why he puts them in the freezer. He said to keep their superhero powers fresh. Of course. He was probably 4 and a super fun seatmate. He sang every song as loud as he could and asked me if I wanted to hang out with him and his family. I said my family, which I was sitting next to, probably needed me. Loved it. By the way, Spider-Man, his favorite. How about that? That's fantastic. I love that story, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for sharing that one. That's awesome. Trenton Nesbitt says, probably when my father-in-law told my sister-in-law, then 13, that Rock and Roller Coaster didn't go upside down because she was refusing to ride it otherwise. Ha! But after the ride, she loves it now, so I guess it all worked out. Yeah, I got to be careful of that, though. Got to be careful of that. Sarah Metzger says, we were in Norway long before we had kids, and a little guy was having a fit, holding a foam sword, saying to his mom, "But Ma, every Viking has a weapon." We laughed the whole trip. We stopped laughing when we had our own kids. Oh, yeah. It's all fun and games till they start asking you, "But Ma." Oh, my goodness. Elisa Mila says, we were walking past a UK pavilion where there was a sign for Alice and Mary Poppins times are listed for meet and greets, right? We overheard someone say, "Oh, look, they're showing Mary Poppins at 2 o'clock," meaning the movie. We chuckle every time we walk past that sign now and say, "Oh, look." No Mary Poppins movie in the UK pavilion. Marlene Jankwitz says, one very frustrated parent to their children, "You will have a good time because this is our family vacation. Now you kids just learn to get along for once this trip." That might have been me. No, I never said that. But yeah, I've heard that. I have heard that. Jeff Grainer says, overheard on a bus to Disney's Hollywood Studios a couple of years ago. You know they're removing the Osborne family lights because Ozzy wants them back. No, wrong Osbornes. Lisa Grogan Bursey. I got that right, didn't I, Lisa? I hope so. While eating at the counter service, a woman at the next table said, "There's just too many kids here." Club Med. Try Club Med. Janet Frazier Sala says, on the friendship boat from the studios to Epcot, parents asked their 4-year-old boy what his favorite ride was this whole week. His answer, the bus. Brian Dumont said, my 4-year-old niece's favorite ride was the bus as well. She referred to it as her bus. So there you go. It's like when you get the kids a very expensive big present for Christmas and all they want to do is play with the box. Oh. And finally, Tim Bracken chimes in with the thing that he has heard, not, "That was cheap," said no Disney guest ever. So there you go. I've never heard that. Although there are some things that are reasonable at Disney. Cheap by Disney standards, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for participating in that. We absolutely love the interaction. Those are some of the funniest things you have overheard while at a Disney park. I got to tell you, that when Tim and I were down at the Looper Meet back in spring, and we were walking through the UK pavilion, and one podcaster sees that Alice in Wonderland is out signing autographs, and he turns to his co-host and says, "Do you want to see Alice?" Tim gave me a weird look. I still don't understand why. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being patient, dealing with just me on this show. Tim will be back very shortly, enjoying his time. It's beautiful outside, and I hope he's having a great time. So thank you all for listening, and that is all I've got. You can find us all over social media. You guys know where to find us. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. Rate us over on iTunes. That goes a long way for other people to find us. And share the magic. Share it with all of your friends. Subscribe to the show so you don't miss any of them. And as Tim likes to say, you've been listening to The Gateway to the Magic. See you, everybody. Thanks for listening to the show. But now you want to share your love of Disney, right? Unfortunately, a lot of our friends, family, and coworkers just don't share the same enthusiasm we do for all things Disney. Well, now MyDismatch.com has made it even easier with the all-new MyDismatch apps for iOS and Android devices. Just download the MyDismatch app and connect with new Disney friends today. And now, for a limited time, you'll get your first month of full membership free just for signing up. Look for the new MyDismatch apps on iTunes and Google Play and start connecting with real Disney friends today.